Welcome to episode 8 of the With Ingram podcast series. I'm Philip Ingram, and today I'm talking to Barrie Millett from the Wesleyan Society. Now, he's off to do something mad and has a Virgin Money giving page linked below. Please click on it. Warning, you might actually learn something. Right, as I said, I'm here with Barrie Millett. Now, I'll let Barrie introduce himself in a minute, and he's doing something mad as well. I'll ask him about that in a second. Barrie, thank you for coming and talking to me on the With Ingram podcast. I noticed we're in a lovely coffee shop, but we don't have any bacon.
Oh, sorry. I know you love breakfast and everything, Philip, but it is midday and I'm not hungry because I've had my overnight oats, which see me through until about 2 o'clock, so sorry about that. Maybe next time.
Yeah, well, oats and bacon. We have this spat on Twitter every now and again about what's healthiest. It has to be bacon, but not every day. Oats is probably better, and I'd agree with that. My wife makes absolutely fantastic flapjacks, which are like your oats, but a little bit more solid, and they're brilliant. Now, before we get on to the substance of this, you're off to do a marathon, a London marathon. I'm not going to mention your age. I'll let you do that. Why? What is it you're doing?
Well, I'm 56 at the end of this year. Call it a midlife crisis or whatever you want to call it. So as a former Royal Marine, done loads of endurance events. I've done the South Downs 100k for Gurkha Welfare Trust. I've done a 30-miler for Royal Marines charity in the past. But I've never done a marathon. I've never run a marathon. So I decided that's what I was going to do next year to keep me fit, give me a goal to be able to work towards. And I thought, what can I do it for? So I thought I've done a lot of work for Crime Stoppers in the past, really highlighting the fantastic partnership work that they're doing, both with individuals and businesses. They've worked on some key projects for me when I was at E.ON, metal theft and energy fraud. So I wanted to try and give something back to them, raise some money on my Just Giving page, but more importantly, I think, try and raise their profile as well, because a lot of the time, the good work that they do really doesn't get mentioned as much as it should do.
No, the London Marathon is iconic. I've done it once, and that was in 2001. The best tip I ever had was just coming up to Tower Bridge by someone who'd run it a couple of times. He said, when you get round the corner, just slow down. Forget about personal best, forget about times, absorb the atmosphere and the crowds. And he was so right. Atmosphere is fantastic. You mentioned your Just Giving page. So people are listening, how can they find it easily? I'll try and put a link underneath it in the podcast somewhere, but I have to work out how to do that yet.
Yeah, I think if they just search Barrie Millett on Just Giving, it'll come up, and the link will take you directly through to the Crime Stoppers page for donations. I'm looking to achieve their target of 1,750, which I hope we can smash. And I'd call on some of the corporate companies that utilise Crime Stoppers both now and in the past to try and help support that, and let's hopefully try and get well above that target.
No, fantastic cause. Now, you have been a security professional for many years since leaving the Royal Marines. So you're now with the Wesleyan Society. Can you tell us a little bit about the Wesleyan Society and what the particular challenges are you have on securing that particular business?
Yes, so I'm Head of Operational Resilience for Wesleyan, which is a mutual finance organisation based in the centre of Birmingham, rich in history, having been formed in 1841. It provides tailored financial advice and products to selected professional groups, notably GPs, hospital doctors, dentists, teachers and lawyers, and a range of other professionals as well.
And what are the security challenges that you... So the financial industry, there continuously seems to be being attacked from various angles. It's this big, rich target. Is everything cyber? Is everything physical? Is there crossover? What are you seeing as the man who's responsible?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of everything, to be honest, Philip. And if you take the Bank of England and the PRA's discussion paper on operational resilience, it links in all of those pillars in reality. So you can't just focus on one specific aspect. You've got to understand the threats to the financial sector as a whole, bring that closer to you as an organisation, and make sure that you're doing the right things to protect your business, but ultimately your customers as well. And fundamentally, as long as you get get the basics right, then any organisation will be in a good place.
But are there any specific challenges that come in? I think you're a data-heavy organisation. Has the new General Data Protection Regulation, its implementation, made it more difficult for you to achieve what you need to? Has it made it easier because the board sits and listens to a piece of legislation, or are there specific challenges?
No, I think GDPR has helped all organisations focus their minds a little bit more. It's made sure that they're doing the fundamentals right, and that is protecting customer data. And it's helped actually educate people throughout the organisation, whether it's the board or whether it's the people that are processing that information. So I think regulation, legislation, whatever you want to call it, just helps you as an organisation to make sure you're focusing in the right area, and also that you're funding programmes to the right level as well.
So you see this as a positive thing, it's not something that's disabling, it's enabling better processes and procedures?
No, absolutely. Both GDPR, which you mentioned, but also, as I mentioned a few moments ago, the operational resilience discussion paper from the regulators, which will come out as a consultation paper in October, is really about just focusing on the basics and making sure all the pillars intertwine, and you're fundamentally focusing on the right things. So it has to be a good thing, absolutely. And I've come from other regulated industry as well, so energy sector that I worked at as well, protecting critical national infrastructure, and again, having those frameworks in place that you're all working towards with a common goal, it has to be the right thing to do.
Now, I was going to talk to you about critical national infrastructure because having come from the energy sector into the financial sector, is there crossover between the two?
Absolutely, and what a lot of organisations don't really understand is how much they rely on the critical national infrastructure. So when you're looking at your own resilience plans as an organisation, you have to look at your key suppliers, and critical national infrastructure, whether it's energy, water or telecommunications, they're all key to organisations being able to operate. So there is that interconnectability that you have to be aware of.
Now, with that interconnectability, the debate that's gone on in recent months and actually brought to the fore in the press today, and we're talking on the 10th of October, is about foreign national involvement. And there's been the Huawei issue with regard to 5G and the interconnectivity of that. In the press today, there's been the expose of a supposed Russian unit designed to attack infrastructure in different countries, and that's been blamed on the Skripal attack and the potential coup in Montenegro and various other places. Is this scaremongering? Are nations actually looking at coming in and trying to influence what's going on in our critical national infrastructure? Should we be worried?
I think the interference, if you want to call that, of foreign nation states on business critical national infrastructure worldwide, absolutely, it's been going on for years. The Cold War stopped, but their thirst to understand what we're doing, their thirst to understand the challenges that we face from aging infrastructure, the challenges we face on securing those facilities. They want to understand what we're up to, and if they can use some of the good stuff, the really good stuff that we're doing, to actually secure their areas. So, the Cold War stopped, but I think the thirst for foreign states to understand our infrastructure, our possible vulnerabilities, hasn't stopped with it.
Yes, I see evidence all the time of, I wouldn't call it the Cold War, but the slightly lukewarm war being something that's going on in the background, focusing on business, focusing on intellectual property, and some nations get a greater blame than others that's in there. But do you find that there's any one particular threat actor that was affecting your role in critical national infrastructure that's translated across into the financial industry, or is there a mixture of different threat actors out there?
I think there's a big mixture of threat actors out there, Philip, to be honest, and I think there's also evidence out there where some of the techniques that the nation states have used has now morphed over into crime gangs as well. So I think there's a blurring of lines of what is pure state and what is organised crime, and I think that organisations need to be aware that there are touch points right across different business sectors, and it's not just the big international organisations. As organisations start to use more and more third-party suppliers, and some of those third-party suppliers are really small, medium-sized enterprises, their focus is to actually try and target the bigger organisations through that supply chain as well.
So the little guy is as important as the big guy that's providing you support, and possibly more important because they're more vulnerable.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think there is a recognition, even at the police level, that and government level, that as the larger organisations really fundamentally secure themselves and make themselves more resilient and difficult to be targeted, then the focus will go on the smaller organisations. And the good work that the police are doing with the Police Digital Security Centre, which has started to evolve from London out into the regions, has been set up fundamentally to support those smaller sized organisations get themselves into a more secure environment and give them some resources that perhaps they wouldn't have the funds to be able to focus on.
Now, you mentioned the police, and you talked about Crime Stoppers at the beginning. We're seeing an awful lot of very, very good stories coming out in the press at the moment where the National Crime Agency are intercepting a lot of organised crime gang activity and having real success in getting people charged and forward for prosecution. Do you see policing with the challenges that we hear about in the mainstream press where they don't have the resources to do what they're doing, or are you seeing a change in the way policing is going on and actually there is real success that's not necessarily being reported properly, or do you see that there are difficulties in some areas but not in others? What's your view on the ability to deal with a lot of the threats and issues that are out there?
Yeah, I think the police are under some incredible challenges, both from a cost-saving point of view, resourcing, and I know there's the desire to give them more police officers on the beat. But what I do see is more collaborative working, whether that's informally across police forces, collaboratively with industry as a whole. And there has been some fantastic success levels when they're focusing on key issues. So County Lines is a prime example in my home county of Leicestershire, where they've had some incredible wins over the last few months. And that's, cross-border working, cross-county lines working with national police units and the local police as well. But it's like the old Forth Road Bridge, isn't it, Philip, really, to be honest, because no matter, as soon as they stop with one initiative, then they've got to start focusing on something else. So it's how do you get that built into the operating model of the police forces for the future, because I think it has to change.
Cooperation you brought in is really important, public-private cooperation. You chair the West Midlands CSSE board. That's an area of cooperation that there is. Can you give us a little bit of an insight as to what the CSSE is doing, what the particular challenges are that it's finding and in the West Midlands region?
Yeah, CSSE was set up originally for the London 2012 Games to make sure there was that interlink between the police forces and industry to both identify and manage the threats to London 2012. It was a huge success, so it carried on in London, and then there's been a rollout nationally, and CSSE in the West Midlands was formed a year ago, and we have on the board, we have industry, we have local police units as well, to work together and try and focus on local issues. The challenge being it is a charity in its own right. Everybody has a role, but it's an add-on to their day job. It's done free of charge, and it's all about individuals' passion for making a difference in our communities to keep them safe and secure. So the biggest challenge is getting enough time to actually focus on some really, really good initiatives. As the chair for West Midlands, I haven't done as much as I'd wanted to have done this year, but we've got some key things to drive forward for the rest of this year, and now actually focus on the Commonwealth Games that will be in the West Midlands in 2022, I believe it is. So some great work being done, some good work to be done, but we've got to realise that this is a pro bono piece of work by everybody involved, and I think sometimes people forget that.
Yes, and for those that don't know what CSSC is, it's the cross-sector security and safety communications network that's out there, taking reports that the police produce as ground truth and getting them out to industry and local businesses as quickly as possible, so that they're not relying on what may be out there just on social media. There is a ground truth that they know has come from an authoritative source. Isn't that right?
No, absolutely, and also in the event of a significant incident, then opening up a bridge call with the police that are running that incident to be able to make sure that the police can disseminate real information out to those businesses to hopefully help the police manage the event as well.
Now, there are an awful lot of real challenges in dealing with security and the way society is going at the moment, and international issues are affecting that as well, with what's going on in Syria and the potential terrorism that could come back to this country from there, with what Brexit might throw. What are the big challenges you're seeing, and if you had a magic wand, how would you deal with them?
It's just having clarity of what's going on, to be honest, and the whole issue of what's real news, what's fake news, and trying to second guess what the policymakers are going to do. It's challenging for business. Just magnify that 50, 100 times for police and other agencies that have got to deal with relationship building on the back of politicians falling out, and understanding how they're going to be able to operate going forward as well. And I think business has a lot to give going forward with the police and other agencies, but I think there's got to be more trust built up and more willingness to collaborate. And I think the biggest threat to society as a whole is the breakdown of that business, police, agency collaboration. We've got to develop that further because, as I said, the police have got a lot of challenges, both now and in the future. There's a lot of issues with regards to both organised crime but also crime gangs in and around the cities. I was reading an article last week on the different hotspots for knife crime, which really impacts families and individuals as well. So the police are being pulled from pillar to post. I think a lot of the chief constables really understand the need for collaborative working, but I don't think we've worked that through and how we can really do that. And I think some of the larger security organisations are still missing a trick in that space.
So in working this sort of thing through, I noticed that you're on the advisory council for the International Security Expo. How important are events such as that, and in particular the International Security Expo, to get improving that collaboration, talking, and as a high-end end user, what are you hoping to get out of it?
Yeah, I think events like that, when you've got the Home Office, you've got senior people from the police, when you've got senior people from overseas agencies as well attending, having fireside chats, doing some communications at those events, I think that almost gives permission for the local police around it is okay to collaborate, it is okay to talk about some of your challenges, and a problem shared is a problem halved. So I think ISE fundamentally, because of the personalities that are involved, I think gives permission that it's okay to collaborate, and if it can be done at that sort of senior level, then absolutely it should be done at a local level. For me as an end user, it's not just about seeing the new products and services that are out there. It's also talking to peers as well, and an event like that brings a lot of really good network of peers together to be able to look at the products and services that are out there, the new thinking that's coming out, the new innovation that's coming out, but it also gives a platform for us to talk together about the real issues that we're facing and try and work on some best practice that perhaps other people have implemented as well. So you think over the 3 days of the event, it would take me years to be able to go round and talk to all of the people and the influencers that are there. So it is a no-brainer for me to attend that event, to be able to network with senior police, to be able to network with some really good innovation that's out there from a technology and process point of view, but also to network with my peers as well.
Well, Barrie, I think on that note, actually that's a good place to stop. It's been a real fascination talking to you, and thank you for coming and getting me a coffee today.
Thanks. Have a good one.
Hey folks, please don't forget to click on Barrie's Virgin Money Giving page. The link is below. Thank you.